As a clutter confidant, I've always been fascinated by the story behind our stuff. I created this space to honor the things we choose to keep and those we're ready to release. My name is Twee, and this is the story behind it. Hello, everyone. I am Twee, the clutter confidant of Ever So Neat. This is episode 5.5 of season 2. I spoke with Sarah last week, and we wanted to continue the conversation because there was one thing I didn't ask her about, or I did, but I wanted to ask her more, which is the shirt that I'm wearing, and we'll talk about it in a bit. But Sarah also illustrated, as I told you last time, all of the beautiful artwork for this podcast. And so she'll tell us a little bit more about the story behind that. Hi, Sarah.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to continue. And we match. I guess we should show what
Here it is.
the shirts look like. Yeah. And I mean, I'm wearing this shirt almost all of the time, so it's not really a coincidence that I have it on today, but it was intentional for today because the last time we spoke, I was wearing it and I mentioned it. And then after our interview finished, I was thinking, oh, I should have asked her more about it because I really did want to know the story behind it. I remember that when the series came out was when I first met you in IVFT facilitator training, and I didn't at that time. I don't think we were talking as much, so I didn't get as much of behind the scenes as I do now. And I would love to hear it if you'd like to share.
Sure. Yeah, so this was originally a doodle that I did in my sketchbook. I drew it when I was visiting friends in New York City last summer, and it was just a very fun, flowy drawing. But the idea behind it is just like, we have to release physical items to have space to receive new physical items, or maybe release a car to have space to have another car, as an example. But I think it applies energetically too. So, be it in relationships or experiences, I think a lot about the process of letting go so that I can be open to being present where I am. It's easier said than done, for sure, but that's the energy behind it. And allowing it to be fun as well. Like sometimes it can be hard to let go, but when we have our hands open, we can receive what's meant for us in the present. So that's the energy behind it.
Yeah, and that I love that because it is the energy. It's when you're releasing something and you can acknowledge the difficulty or the resistance that you have. I think that's so normal and it's human. Um, but when you have the energetic intention to release, that I think it's much easier to receive afterwards.
Mhm.
Sometimes when we release and we're not really completely ready or we're not in the mindset where we've fully released it, it can create a block and then you're still not receiving from an open space.
100%.
Yeah. And even physical organizing sometimes, with the shopping rule, you hear a lot, like, if you buy one thing, then you have to come home and, like, get rid of something else, and sometimes I start the other way around. If I want to buy something new, then I have to release first and then see if I even need it. I might not even need it afterwards or not want it because I like the space better.
I love that reframe. That's really nice.
And then what in the series inspired you to like because you have more than this one. But what was the connection between all of the and I just wanted to say if you want to see Sarah's all of her artwork, where's the best place to follow you?
My Instagram, I follow Twee, so you can find me there, but it's underscore Sarah, Sarah dot O'Leary, Oleary. So I post there pretty regularly.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're listening now and you want to go look at it, it would be a nice time to do so. And then see what the connections are because all of them were so, like you said, flowy. But I really get the energy behind it when I look at the paintings. Were they paintings?
So I actually did them digitally. So I sketched first, and then I
Oh,
did
okay.
them on my iPad. bad. But
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah, and I love seeing your process because I never thought I picture you as, like, painting all the time or drawing, and I love seeing that mix of you bringing it into your iPad and creating it that way. I love the process videos too.
Oh, thank you.
And what made you choose this one to make a shirt out of?
Yeah, I think I just really liked the energy behind it and it really resonated. I feel like I've been in such a big space of transition in this past year and really thinking about what I want and then thinking about, well, what's different about what's in my life right now? What do I need to release before I can have what I want? But funnily enough, I feel like it resonated with so many people that I met through IVFT because most people who purchased it I met through that and then a few other people that I know from other areas of my life. So it felt nice to know that something that spoke to me also spoke to other people too.
Yeah, it did so much in my own life when I met you, and even when you released the shirt, it was, like, probably a few months afterwards. Um, it was just a really nice reminder to have to be able to release because as you're transitioning and doing all of the inner work, you're releasing so much of yourself or what you've identified as yourself and what you've attached to mean, towards your ego. And that's even though you know it's not healthy or you know, like, it's not serving you right now, it's not easy to let go, and so it's always a good reminder to, like, see the picture,
Mhm.
wear the T-shirt, and then be reminded that it's okay. It's safe to let go, and then you can receive so much more.
Mhm.
Do you have an example of something this year that you released and then something even bigger came in?
Hmm. Oh my goodness. That's such a good question. I think I've been releasing attachment to timing and how I think opportunities should come to me. Um, and so I've just been receiving it's so like aligned work opportunities in a new way recently when I've released attachment to like who I should work with or how it should happen. Um, And funnily enough, I find it's almost like releasing attachment to a narrative about how to develop a career, I think. Because like when I first started inner voice work, my inner voice just told me to paint. Which is I'm like, okay, that's wonderful. Thank you, inner voice. And I wasn't painting at the time. But it just showed me that when I paint, then opportunities will come to me. And it's been very, very, very true. Like when I slow down and I just focus on what brings me joy, that's when opportunities come. Not when I'm contacting people, not when I'm advertising. It's when I'm just doing what I love. So it's hard. It's like releasing a roadmap, I think, is what I've been letting go of. A roadmap that doesn't actually have directions on it, but my mind is trying to make it.
The mind always wants a map or, like, some sort of sign even though we know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I've been experiencing the same thing, on my end, like, just today, I was asking about what I can do, like, I've been so busy and I haven't been, quote, unquote, "marketing" in the traditional way that you see, and not really worried because I do have trust in what's gonna come and, like, the unknown, and I'm going through a transition with my business, but sometimes the mind pops in, and so today I felt the resistance and I asked, "What can I do to feel into the flow a little bit more?" Um, and just being okay with not knowing what I'm gonna do, not knowing
Mhm.
exactly what's gonna happen or what I'm gonna provide even,
Mhm.
was so freeing.
What
And then
did
I
you
came home and I had 3 3 inquiries for, like, clients in my inbox, so yeah, and it was just yeah, I think there was an energetic resistance to succeeding and being scared to do well, even for me
Mhm.
personally, and sometimes when I let go of that, then that's when it comes.
Mhm. Oh, that's so beautiful to hear. I love that. Congrats.
Yeah, you've been a part of that too because you helped me with with the podcast. It was an idea in my mind for such a long time, like years, and then I actually started, and then it was like a start stop, like it always took me so long to get into it, and then recently this one, with this new launch, like 3rd, 2nd launch, I don't know what it was, It just felt so much more
Mhm.
flowy and easeful, and I
Mhm.
wasn't trying, and I wasn't, like, putting pressure on myself to produce it perfectly or to have all my interviews lined up or even have a set time of when I was going to do it.
Mhm.
And so when I had the idea pop up that I was going to do it, I asked you to do the artwork, and it was just so easy working with you. It was like I had this idea, and even my mind had an idea of what I wanted to look like. And when I told you, you just took the energy of what I was talking about and transformed it into these beautiful illustrations that I could not have imagined a more perfect depiction of what I was going to talk about. So
It
thank
was
you for that.
so fun. Yeah, it was so fun to make the illustrations. I think that the joy I felt while making them comes through when like,
Yeah.
I feel joyful when I look at them. Like, there's just, like, a fun lightness, and when I was doing it, I listened to the podcast episodes that you had recorded, and then it was completely inspired by that energy because I think I started drawing before I listened, and then I realized, "Oh, I have to listen to the podcast to feel it," of course. And it inspired both, of course, like the concept within the art, but also the just the energy. I think something about it. Like I feel like it's unique to you and what you do, and the energy that you bring to your work and your clients. So yeah.
Yeah, you included me in one of them wearing a cozy sweater, and I love that so much with the tape, measuring tape that I talked about. But even the cover art, just the table and the chair, I really, when we have these conversations, like that's how I picture it. Just kind of the after dinner talk is one of my
Mhm.
favorite things to do when it turns into a late night dinner or just that conversation that lingers. And those are the interesting stories that come up. So you totally captured that with the coffee mugs and everything. I loved it. And when you do, because you do this for others, like website design and logos and just capturing that art, is that the same process that you use, kind of feeling into the energy rather than graphically what's best?
I think it's both, but I would say the energy probably comes first. And then, like right now, I'm working on a website, and it's about quilting. So I've been really inspired by like the colors and the energy that I see in the photos, like that because there's so much energy in that. So I'm bringing that energy into how I design the website. But then, of course, like there's the practical, functional side of it too, which I think with illustration you have a little more freedom than maybe in website design. So I would say it goes hand in hand.
And how do you keep their originality? Like, I see throughout all of your series and all of the work that you do, like, I can tell it's you, but
Mhm.
then also it's so individual to the person and the situation or the theme of the project. So how do you do that?
Hmm. I think and that's such a good question. I don't really know how to answer it. Like, it's cool that you can see that it's me through all of it because I think that I'll always bring like my specific energy to whatever I do. But I will say that I work in a lot of different mediums, so that can change. Like, I think I can like shift mediums based on what the client needs or what I feel like the project needs. If it's going to be painted or drawn colorful black and white, and I think that that can make it specific to the needs of the client while still having like my energy come through. Because I like ultimately think that we all hope like the person who hires me or who hires you, like they want to work with us for our unique energy, not just like the technical skills that we bring to the table, to the conversation.
Yeah, it's always the connection to the person
Yeah.
who's working with you. I mean, that's how I chose all my wedding vendors. It was like, could I be friends with them? And then I
Yeah.
ended up being, friends with a lot of them afterwards. So
Oh, that's so nice.
how I approach all my services, you
Yeah.
included. And then it's so rare that I can do this follow-up so quickly, but I love that you said you work with a lot of mediums, and the last time we talked was, you were telling us about the thing you kept was your, I think, oil
Yeah.
pestles. I can't remember. Yeah, okay. I don't know the technical terms. Um, so have you been able to use them a little bit more, and
I
did
start
you
my
start a
season
class?
tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, so I haven't used them yet, but I went through all of them, which was fun, and I purchased 3 new colors today, that I was missing, and yeah, I start tomorrow. I'm excited.
Are you inspired by anything going into the class?
Like, what inspired me to sign up for it, or
No, like, going into the class right now, do you feel inspired by anything in particular?
mm, yeah, well, I guess I'm excited to be around other artists, and I'm excited to, like, be in an environment that's just, like, dedicated to creativity and also to learn. So it's a figure painting class, and so it'll be more technical than what I normally do, I think, and I'm just, like, really excited to focus on my skills and, art for the sake of art.
I
Yeah.
love that. I told you this story, but, when you say that you're going to learn a new skill and it's exciting to you, I love that because I was telling you about, my son, how he asked me, "What makes me a good student?" He first asked me, "Mama, am I a good student?" And I said, "Yes," right away without any hesitation, and then when he asked, "What makes me a good student?" I really had to pause, and I was like my mind and what I've been programmed to think is like, you follow the rules, you're quiet, you pay attention, you get good grades, like, all of those things are true, but I really thought about it, I was like, "That's not what makes him a good student, it's just, like, being open to learning," and that's what I told him, like, that was the answer I gave him, being open to learning and being okay with making mistakes, and
Mhm.
I think art teaches you that in such a beautiful way, like, it always turns out to be something wonderful whether you or not you meant to do it that way.
Mhm. Yeah. I love that you shared that with him. That's, like that's so beautiful.
Whenever I teach him something, it's like a little reminder to myself. I feel like I'm talking to myself. Yeah. And then the last question I wanna ask you if as a follow-up is, the thing you were meant to release was your phone or to get a new phone, so this is such a perfect
I haven't done it yet. Oh my goodness. I'll let you know when I do. I'll
Yeah,
be
I mean, no pressure, it's only been a week.
only been a week. It feels like it's been a lot longer.
Yeah, but it's exactly the same theme of your shirt, release and receive, and even though it's such a small technical thing, the phone, it still could represent a lot of things. I think last time we talked,
Mhm.
it was just fear behind it and releasing any stories, so you never know what it's gonna mean.
It's so true. Yeah.
But thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me. It's so fun.
Yeah, I know. I really yeah, as soon as we finished that conversation, I was like, "I want to know more," and I love hearing the story behind your creative mind. I know sometimes it's hard to explain, but I definitely see it in your work, and so it's nice to put a face to it too.
Well, I appreciate you asking because it's one of my goals to articulate it better. So this is good practice.
Yeah, anytime you wanna come back and talk about it.
Thank you.
Alright, so good night for now.
I'll talk to you later.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.